Creating a quick stone saw is an important skill for anybody to have. Now, don't get me wrong, obviously a modern saw is way more efficient, way more easy, and let me tell you, you can get through a piece of wood relatively quick. But a stone saw will get the job done. I've been shaping wood with stone saws and blades and adze and draw knives and scrapers for quite some time, and I can tell you from personal experience, I don't know if, 20, 30,000 years ago, if there was a lot of specifically designed saws that were used for cutting down, trees, if you will. When it came to cutting down a tree, it was more of your polished axe, something like this, or even one of these guys right here. This makes sense to fell a tree, to chop down a tree. This makes sense, or even a blade with some teeth in it, a piece of stone that's hafted. That makes sense to cut down a small limb, to shape bone, but to do small cuts and then eventually pressure break through it. That doesn't mean that saws weren't used. It means that when you think about the efficiency of it and you have to fell a big tree, what I have personally done in the past is I've used a stone axe or I've burned a tree over. Burn a tree over, you take your target tree, you pack some clay about a foot and a half above the trunk the whole way around, light a fire at the base of the tree, and you burn it over. Those flames won't creep up the trunk and burn it. That clay, that mud's gonna prevent it, and it's just gonna burn at the base and fall over. This dried piece of willow took me about 10 minutes to cut through. I was able to get a clean cut, a nice little pressure break at the end with a little bit of shaping and maintenance to those last little fibers that connected it. Yes, I did stop and resharpen, but I just wanted it to go a little bit quicker. I didn't have to, but it's ultimately about the efficiency of the tool. However, I will say being able to craft kind of a saw blade off of a flake that's definitely thinner and then you could put some teeth in will give you a quicker result. Obviously, the longer and straighter that saw blade can be, the quicker I'm going to get to my results. That's what I'm looking for right there. Why this would work really, really well is I've got a place to hold it. It fits very nicely in the hand. Even this little bulbous portion up here where my bulb of percussion is, gives me the opportunity to kind of hold and give myself a good little, position in my hand. Secondly, I have a very straight edge right through here. And this straight edge is going to allow me to throw a couple little teeth in there and give me more of an advantage when I'm cutting through the wood. When I look at the thickness of the blade here, and then I look at the thickness of the blade here, you can see that this is definitely going to go a lot faster compared to using this. Yes, this blade right here will cut, but if I create a little bit more specific tool with some teeth in it, I'll get a quicker result. Now to put the teeth in this, it's not difficult. You're just going to pressure flake one way down, and it's nothing really crazy. A lot of these teeth will break, and this is when you come across stuff in the archaeological record, it's very hard to identify something that is a saw. As we discussed before, any sort of biface, any sort of blade like this with that serrated edge that really kind of lacerates flesh and cuts through wood will get the job done. Really, when you're using a flake, you're just trying to get a little bit more of a narrower saw blade, if you will, into that wood. So, couple teeth in there gives me a little bit more of a cutting edge. I've got a little narrower flake, and it will cut wood the same. I always go all the way around. This allows me to kind of have a little bit of a guiding cut, so I'm not cutting erratic or cutting crazy. Most important thing is if you're using a flake or even any sort of biface to cut, to rotate your wood or rotate your position, because as I'm cutting, I'm going to create a cut pattern. And if I go against the cut pattern by flipping it, I'll actually get a little bit deeper cut, and it will give me a little bit quicker result. I'm cutting through the wood, cutting through the fibers. This is probably 1 minute. 1 minute, dry piece of willow, soft wood. Feels good in the hand. Let's get a rotate. Still cutting. Nice groove. Rotate the blade or rotate the stick. All right, this right here would be the pressure brake. It's a little pop and I'm able to get through. And you could cut all the way through. In my mind, I typically don't. I pressure brake a lot of things. This is just a little cleanup on the top, a little more cutting. And I've got my cut all the way through. I will say, cutting through that piece of willow a second time using this flake that had a little bit narrower blade and putting some fresh teeth in there was definitely way more faster. It felt better in the hand. More importantly, I'm not really wasting, a potential spearhead or a biface. Yes, they do the same thing. This one kind of serves multiple purposes, so it makes smart to carry, have in your pocket. This one can be created relatively quickly. It makes sense. I could pop a flake off, I could pressure flake the edge, give myself a couple teeth, and really dive into that wood, cutting as I see fit. Are there a lot of archaeological references that reference this specific thing is a saw? There isn't. You could pick up any flake, any biface, even, a finished spearhead, and cut through some relatively thin wood. Yes, without a doubt, ancient peoples took a stone flake, pressure flaked it, giving it an edge, took a biface, a spearhead, a hafted blade, and cut through all manner of wood and bone. Stone saws, in my book, have been a really, really reliable tool just for, like I said, cutting atlatl darts, putting notches in fireboards, scoring and cutting around a piece of bone, felling small trees and limbs. A stone saw will get it done. I believe it's more of a as needed sort of application, created on the fly, and not necessarily something that had the same sort of intent and purpose like an atlatl dart point, a hafted blade, or even a polished axe. A quick stone saw like this is a really important skill that, if you're into primitive skills or survival, you should be able to produce, because you never know when you might not have a saw and you need to, cut some branches for a shelter, build some fishing rods, make some sort of primitive weapons. This will definitely help you in some of those kind of extreme cases if you don't have a knife. But hey, where there's stone, there's tools. All right, appreciate you watching.